Geo News, 3rd of October 2023, why is China not sincere about having an inclusive Afghan government? China has abused the Moscow format platform to emphasize regional cooperation in the absence of outside meddling in Afghanistan's domestic problems. It has pleaded with the US to remove sanctions, unfreeze Afghan assets, and support the Taliban in pursuing a self-governing internal agenda that aligns with the country's needs. Beijing has also intervened to protect the Taliban against international demands to build an inclusive administration. Yue Xiaoyong, the Chinese special representative to Kabul, emphasized during the Kazan conference on September 29 to 30 that nothing should be an excuse for interference in the internal affairs of a sovereign and independent country. What to do with inclusivity and human rights is ultimately up to the sovereign state and its leadership. Beijing has not formally acknowledged the Taliban as a legitimate administration. However, it dispatched Yue Xiaoyong to Kabul as an ambassador last month. China's foreign ministry clarified the move. China's ambassador to Afghanistan is rotating regularly to promote communication and collaboration between China and Afghanistan. China has a definite and consistent policy regarding Afghanistan. China and Afghanistan have a boundary that is roughly 92 kilometers long. The giant neighbor of Kabul can take advantage of numerous chances through this tight Wakhan corridor. However, Beijing has serious concerns regarding the rough terrain as well. Beijing has developed a two-pronged policy towards its neighbor in light of this. China's priority is to restore calm in its region and prevent extremists associated with the East Turkestan Islamic Movement (ETIM) from entering the strategically vital province of Xinjiang. ETIM had tried to divide Xinjiang into an autonomous region for Uyghur Muslims at the beginning of the 1990s. Beijing could only exterminate most of these separatist rebels, while others managed to flee to Afghanistan through a determined hegemonic operation. That haven has persisted since 1998, leaving China with little choice except to befriend the Taliban, who are ideologically divided. Based on fully respecting the sovereignty of Afghanistan and the will of all factions in the country, China has maintained contacts and communication with the Afghan Taliban and played a constructive role in promoting the political settlement of the Afghan issue, acknowledged Hua Chunying, a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, following the fall of Kabul. Beijing thinks that since this is the only formula for long-lasting peace in a nation with such a diversified population, the Afghan Taliban will eventually establish an inclusive and broad-based government. However, there is currently little indication that an inclusive administration would be established despite pressure from all sides. However, the Taliban attempt to convey that they can handle security-related concerns without considering other ethnic groups. The Taliban have moved Uyghur terrorists from Badakhshan as far as the districts of Baghlan and Takhar to reflect who is in charge of Afghanistan. Giving militants over to Beijing is a ridiculous proposal because it will set off a chain reaction that will enrage all of Pakistan's neighbors, who allege that the Taliban's ally TTP is using Afghan turf against them. China is also interested financially. Afghanistan provides a profitable route to connect Central and South Asia and to extend the Belt and Road Initiative. To meet industrial demands, China can also be supplied with much-needed minerals. These economic goals, however, can only be met if the Taliban demonstrate that they are a trustworthy partner in advancing their country and providing stability. Due to several peculiar occurrences in the past few years, China's influence in Afghanistan is highly deliberate and minor. Beijing, for example, had expressed interest in Afghanistan's mining sector. 2008 saw the China Metallurgical Group obtain a 30-year lease to mine copper at the Mesai Nok. However, the ideal investment was impeded by a series of problems. How much the Taliban will help Beijing, which is still offering humanitarian aid, is an open question. The Chinese industrial development on the outskirts of Kabul has undoubtedly been reapproved, but security still poses a problem. The Chinese leadership is prepared to assist the implementation of trans-regional projects, such as the train connecting western China with Central Asia and the Mazar-i-Sharif Kabul-Peshawar line, according to Yue Xiaoyong, China's special ambassador to Afghanistan. The question is how Beijing can secure the BRI in Afghanistan, given the increasing difficulty it has protecting CPEC projects in Pakistan. The senior fellow at Singapore's S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, Raffaello Panchichi, presents a dismal image of Chinese investments. In the context of great power competition, Afghanistan is increasingly perceived as just another arena in which Washington and its allies could potentially subvert Chinese interests, stated Panchichi. Beijing had already convened a tripartite dialogue of foreign ministers from China, Afghanistan, and Pakistan to address the pressures impeding Chinese interests in the region. Afghanistan was also accepted as an observer state in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It is time to encourage the Taliban to implement domestic policies that suit their national circumstances. Furthermore, Beijing has adopted a far more accommodating stance toward inclusive governance at a time when the rest of the world is calling for it. It's a wise decision to protect Chinese interests in Afghanistan. Additionally, it provides power for defending Chinese policy domestically.